Hello out there. I am happy to be doing a review for you today on the Divergent limited edition multi-piece collector's kit that is in Sephora stores right now. It came out, I think it was probably the beginning of this month. I know that this kit was first released to VIBs online only and is now in stores. It is currently sold out online from what I can tell, but I found mine in my local Sephora. They had quite a few of them there. So I know it is in stores, so hopefully if you are interested, you will be able to get your hands on this. So the kit was brought out in kind of correlation with the movie Divergent that's going to be released this Friday, March 21st. And it relates to the Divergent book series by Veronica Roth, which is actually a series that I listened to. So I was pretty excited to see it in the stores. It was a little confusing because I walked in and I saw it. It was on display, like where as you walk into the store, and it said Divergent. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I looked at the palette, I did swatches, and I was looking all over. I couldn't figure out who actually made the kit because it doesn't, as far as I can tell, say Sephora anywhere on the kit. And I know the other girls out there have been confused as well. But the sales associate in the Sephora said that it was released by Sephora. It was made by pro makeup artists who are working for the Sephora makeup line. And I was actually pretty impressed that it was a Sephora product because as I was swatching, I was pretty impressed with the colors and the pigmentation and the overall quality of the makeup, which I have not always been impressed with Sephora products in the past. So the kit, which comes in quite a large box. It says Divergent on the side here. Nothing else anywhere else, but it opens up. And then there's this little protector, but it has 3 different eyeshadow palettes, a cheek palette, which also has a bronzer and a highlighter, and then 4 lip glosses, and a dual-ended brush, kind of like an angled contour brush, and then like a little blending brush on the edge there, which actually they're both quite soft and feel really nice. So I haven't used those yet, but we'll see. And then up here on the top are 3 little makeup cards, which have different eye looks that you can achieve using the different palettes. So let's kind of go in and I will kind of talk to you about the different palettes. So if you are or aren't familiar with the Divergent book series, it's based on this dystopian society. It's hard to go into the full thing, but there are 5 factions that live in this city. And so 3 of these makeup palettes are based on those different factions. So one of the factions is Abnegation, and they are the selfless faction. That's the quality that the people of that faction have. And this is a quite beautiful palette here. It has a nice brown, a green, a gold, and then just like a nice matte neutral color. So I'm not going to do swatches on these. It's so hard to see swatches and to do them, but there's tons. If you like Google it, I know Tintalia has swatches, and so does Allura Beauty, and other beauty gurus have done it on their channels. But of these 4, these all are really nicely pigmented and come off really nicely. And then this last little shade called Transform is like a silvery, very sparkly, shimmery color. And Sephora is saying that these end shades are supposed to be the transformer shades, and they impart a diamond illusion, shimmery, mirror-like reflection that is transparent when applied dry and translucent when applied wet, showcasing fluid, twinkling particles that look like they are suspended in air. That is what Sephora says they are supposed to do. So the idea with these ones is that you can pop them off, and it's kind of confusing how to get them off because you think that you should just be able to pull them apart and they would be magnetized, but you actually pop them to the side and then they come off like that. So you're supposed to be able to take these off, and there's one on each of the other palettes, and just kind of mix and match if you want to. So I'm just gonna pop that back on. But that is the Abnegation palette. Next is the Dauntless Eye palette, and the Dauntless are the brave and the fearless and the more of the warrior-like faction in the city. And so, as you would expect, there's a nice black, and then there's a kind of a taupey, purpley color, reminds me of Satin Taupe by MAC, a blue called Erudite Sapphire, and then a vanilla, just like, again, another nice matte neutral color in this palette. So of these ones, the black is kind of chalky, a little bit of fallout, and the blue doesn't have great pigmentation, but all the other ones are really nice. And then Diverge is the sparkly shimmery one on the end of this palette, and this is more of a green with like gold shimmers in it. So again, you can pop that off if you want to switch it out and use it on the other palette. The final eyeshadow palette is the Erudite eye palette, and the Erudite are known for knowledge, and so I don't know how these colors necessarily relate to knowledge at all, but these are really beautiful. I was really drawn to this palette. There's a nice, that is called Burnt Mahogany, so a nice kind of pruny, rusty color. And then just kind of a more of a sheeny, neutral, gray taupe color, a peachy color, and then a lighter peach color there at the bottom. And on the end is the color Choose, which is more of a champagne-y, silvery color. So those are the eyeshadow palettes. And then the cheek palette has a nice kind of shimmery coral blush, a more matte rose blush, a white with a gold undertone, gold sheen highlighter, which I was really excited about because I don't have a highlighter with a gold sheen like this. And then just kind of I would say just your normal average color bronzer, which doesn't seem to have any kind of sheen or sparkle. It's just like a nice bronzer. So of these, they all actually are very nicely pigmented. The rose colored blush didn't swatch as well on my hand, but when I used it on my cheeks for the tutorial that I did, it worked really quite nicely. So I'm pretty impressed with those. The lip glosses, on the other hand, and this is kind of what I've been getting as I've been reading reviews and watching tutorials on this palette, aren't the best, and that's kind of what I found as well. They have they're all very minty as their base, but the different colors are Supreme Ritual, it's just kind of like a nude, and then Temptation's Choice, which is a shimmery, kind of like a peachy color, oops, sorry, and then Fear Not, which is a pink with a little bit of shimmer, and Natural Virtue, which is a nude again, but with a little bit more of a pink undertone than a brown undertone. So they, again, very minty, so if you don't like that, you might not like it as much, but don't have a lot of color payoff once you get them on your lips. But I mean, they're in these tiny, they're just little minis, and so I don't think that the fact that these aren't the best take away from the overall value of the palette. And then, like I said, the brush is, quite soft, and so I might get some use out of that. And then, again, this little blendy guy is also quite soft. I don't know about you guys, though, but I can't stand when brushes are two-sided like this, dual-ended brushes, because how am I supposed to store these? I've always been baffled by the fact that all these companies come out with dual-ended brushes. I guess if they come out and they're in their makeup palette, like the Urban Decay Naked palettes, you can just keep them in that little tray in the palette, but I'm probably not going to end up keeping this whole box, so I wouldn't keep the brush in here, and the way that I store my brushes, I can't, you ruin a brush if you put it like this. So anyways, just food for thought. I don't quite get the whole dual-ended brush idea. I'd rather they just give me 2 separate brushes, but I'm sure that's more expensive to manufacture. So my overall thoughts on the palette, I'm quite impressed. I actually walked into Sephora, I looked at it, I swatched it, I said, okay, I need to think on this because probably all these colors are dupable. I'm sure that I have them somewhere else in my collection. Just, you know, do I really need this palette? So, but it was a great value. It's $59. So even if I didn't need it, you know, being the makeup guru and addict that I am, I would probably dwell on it and would really be mad at myself if I missed the opportunity of getting it because it's not going to be around for too long, I'm sure. But I did manage to walk out of Sephora the first time without it. I went home, I read some reviews, I watched some tutorials, and the overall consensus that I was getting was that it was amazing. Everybody was just loving this palette. If you go on Sephora.com, all of the reviews, I ranked them from the lowest to the highest. There was only one review that was 1 star, and that person said that they weren't very pigmented or something like that. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Did you even touch this palette? Because they are all, for the most part, very pigmented. But then every single other review, I think, was 4 stars or higher. So that tells you something on Sephora, because for the most part, people are pretty honest with their opinions. And then on YouTube, everybody has just been loving this palette so far. So I didn't want to miss my opportunity. So I went back later that night to Sephora and did pick it up. And so far, have been pretty happy with it. But again, I've only done 1 makeup look, but quite happy with the pigmentation. And, you know, having read the Divergent series and been on board with that, I just felt like I should have it. So I think the other cool thing is just kind of the whole idea with the with how they packaged this product. If you put all of the palettes side by side, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold this up appropriately, but they form this Ferris wheel, which, if you've read the books, is kind of, you know, Triss and Four go up on this climb to the top of this Ferris wheel in the first book, and it's anyways, just read the books if you're interested. But anyways, I do like the packaging, and I am happy that I got this kit. So hopefully, if you are interested, you'll still be able to get your hands on it. Fingers crossed for you that you can do so if you want to. But I did do a look using the Abnegation palette. My plan is to do a look with the other 2 palettes. So let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you got this palette, if you're liking it. I think that is all that I've got for now, so I will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.